Hey everyone, it's Cassius Methyl. I'm gonna do finally another weekly horoscope through video. I think we're finally over a period of dissolving identities, confusion, Neptunian dissolving of things that seem solid, and I think we're moving into a new era of time, signaled by such things as obviously the eclipses, but most notably the end of Jupiter opposition Neptune, the angle that made September so confusing, the fact that Mercury retrograded in Libra, and also Gemini, I'm going to get into that in a second, and most notably of all, the fact that Jupiter is in Virgo, the fact that Mars just went into Virgo, and conjoined Orcus to oppose Neptune exactly when Neptune and Orcus were opposite each other, and the odd fact that I noticed that Mercury retrograded to exactly conjoin dwarf planet Makemake at the point of the equinox, at the North Node, the place where the eclipse happened essentially. So I'm going to go into these things this week, or in this video for this week, and you'll have a guide to the next week. So, here's this. This is, this weekly horoscope video is from October 7th to 14th. This is October 7th. Sorry. This is October 7th. So today on October 7th, see, I noticed this thing in astrology where the same things happen at the same time. One aspect peaks at the exact same time as several other aspects. I don't know why, but everything always comes to a head at once. It's rare that one aspect is the only thing to come to a head at one time. Today we have a kind of boost out of the confusing. See, what September was, of course, was Jupiter there in Virgo, opposite Neptune in Pisces. This caused a clash, an archetypal clash between Virgo, the mechanical mind, logical mind, grounded reasoning, practicality, those earth sign things, and Pisces, the final sign, the dissolving of everything that is solid, and Neptune is of course the same energy as Pisces, as Uranus is the same energy as, Aquarius, so on and so forth. So that dissolved everything that we thought was solid in September. That was a significant milestone for us. A Jupiter opposition Neptune in Pisces only happens like once every 160 years. Because, Neptune takes 160 years to go around the sun. Okay, so that was September. Right now, I think it's highly fateful that Venus would be finishing up its retrograde in Leo to go back into Virgo, while Jupiter's in Virgo, while Mars is now moving into Virgo, and today, Mars is conjunct Orcus opposite Neptune at the exact same time as the Sun is perfectly square Pluto, when Mercury retrograded to conjoin dwarf planet Makemake in the North Node, the same place where the last blood moon occurred, and, well, there you have it. So it's Mercury retrograde to conjoin Makemake in the North Node. It's Mars conjunct Orcus and opposite Neptune like Jupiter did last month. And it's Venus also going into Virgo. Now, also it's Jupiter trine Pluto. That's also one of the primary focuses of this. Jupiter is almost exactly trine Pluto right now. Jupiter trine Pluto perfectly highlights the theme of this next week. This is Virgo time. This is the time for the earth signs of Virgo and Capricorn. And this is also the time for Libra. So here's why. The themes of Libra and Virgo are of Virgo is refinement, logical reasoning, grounded reasoning, practicality, pretty much the refinement of the revolutionary ideas that we've come up with in the last 4 years with the Uranus-Pluto square. Because remember, Uranus square Pluto, that angle right there, is the primary focus of the last 4 years. That's why the revolutions took place globally, like in Egypt, where the largest protest in the history of the world occurred in in 2013. The Uranus-Pluto square is the main highlight of the last 4 years. It last occurred in around 1930 to 1933, when revolutionaries such as Martin Luther King, Huey P. Newton, the founder of Philly Black Revolutionary Organization MOVE, these revolutionaries were born in the Uranus-Pluto square. That's what I see as the primary reason why this revolution of media, revolution of consciousness, and revolution politically occurred in the last 4 years. So bear in mind that that's the focal point of this whole entire 2010s decade. And now realize that Uranus in Aries, it's like the beginning of a phase of thought. Because Uranus is revolution, it's revolutionary thoughts, it's the progression of an ideology or a culture, like Saturn is. That's why Aquarius is Saturn and Uranus. So with Uranus and Aries, especially square Pluto, we're in a new era of ideology, a new era of consciousness represented by Uranus. So anytime that this Uranus-Pluto square is triggered, it kind of brings back into the focal point of everything the revolutionary ideological transformation of the last 4 years. So right now, it's very interesting that at the peak of all these aspects, the Sun would be opposite Uranus and square Pluto. I don't see that as negative as most people would. It's difficult to deal with, and it's certainly intense, and it might be a little bit piercing, raw, and confrontational this week, but ultimately, I see it like this. It's in Libra. Libra is the opposite of Aries, because Aries is fire, warrior tendencies, battle, and energy. And Libra is diplomacy, harmony, and most notably, relationships with people. As Gemini is related to relationships with people and communication, Libra is the Venus side of friendship, diplomacy, bonds between groups of people. Well, bonds between people, and then once you get to Aquarius, it's bonds between groups of people. But the focus of this era is refinement of our revolutionary ideas and ideological transformation throughout the Uranus-Pluto square of the last 4 years. It's about Virgo refinement of our ideas of the last 4 years. It's about balance of our ideas. It's about refining and grounding and making perfect the ideological transformation of the last 4 years. And with Jupiter in Virgo for the next year, that's going to be emphasized for the entire next year. Jupiter in Virgo will make us be positively expanded for a year through the energies of refinement, groundedness, logic, and practicality. And that's the way Jupiter works like that. Jupiter was in Leo for the last year. And while Jupiter was in Leo, we were expanded by the principles of fire, rebellion, along with the Uranus-Pluto square. We were influenced by regal fire and a playful kind of fiery, rebellious energy to create something. Now it's time to refine the ideas we created. And diplomacy, friendship, unity, community. That is being emphasized by Libra right now. It's being emphasized by Sun, square Pluto, opposite Uranus and Libra. This is the axis of this great transformation of the last few years. It's diplomacy, harmony, community, love, Libra. It's the warrior tendencies and rebellion and fire being balanced with the diplomacy, community, and love of Libra. That's the Libra-Aries axis. And it's also Pluto in Capricorn. Power to building structures as people. Pluto is power, and Capricorn is structures and construction and all that. So we're constructing structures as people in this revolutionary Uranus-Pluto square. We have to have diplomacy and love during this Libra. We have to have refinement and precision and grounding and logic of those revolutionary ideas with Jupiter and Virgo for the next year. And we're going to have a great kickstart to this refinement of ideas with Mars and then Venus in Virgo the next week. So we can celebrate now that with Mars and Jupiter in Virgo, we have major motivation to get over this disillusion and struggle we went through in September, and now it's time to have energy to refine our ideas of the last 4 years, and that's what we're going to do. So Mars in Virgo, Mars is going to move to trine Pluto, like Jupiter is right now, the next week. But the next week, Jupiter trine Pluto is a very positive aspect, peaking next week. So, Jupiter's like the most positive planet in astrology. It's expansion, it's philosophy, it's Sagittarius. So with Jupiter trine Pluto, we will be expanded collectively by the Virgo principles of refinement, logic, and grounded reasoning, and the power and intensity and overbearing power and intensity of Pluto and Capricorn. Refinement and precision and balance of our ideological revolution, and intense power and passion and drive, Pluto, to creating structures of the people. Structures being Capricorn, and power to the people being Uranus and Aries. And keep in mind, Uranus is moving to conjoin Eris. If you look at revolutionaries, people like Martin Luther King, Huey P. Newton, they were born when Uranus last conjoined dwarf planet Eris during the last Pluto-Uranus square in 1930. Uranus also conjoined Eris when it squared Pluto last, 84 years ago. I find this remarkable. And I found Eris activated in the charts of many revolutionary and ideologically passionate people. I find that very interesting. I think learning about these dwarf planets is a difficult task because you have to separate illusion from reality, and you have to make sure that it's actually what a dwarf planet does. When you say Orcus does this, or Haumea does this, or any planet does this. So everything in astrology must be backed up with anecdotal proof. We can prove time and time again that an aspect does a specific thing in the charts of people and in collective transits where we feel something all at once. It's anecdotally provable. And some things in astrology are anecdotally disprovable, as I don't really buy into the theory of houses, but I think ascendant, descendant, midheaven, IC, all that's real. So, also, around 5 days from now, around October 13th, the Sun is going to conjoin Haumea. Around October 13th, when the Sun conjoins dwarf planet Haumea, aligns with dwarf planet Haumea, we have a chance to test and see if Haumea is actually an intuitive planet, like I think it is. I think it's a planet that makes people intuitive, because I've seen it in the charts of multiple people who have these psychic phenomena and are very intuitive people. For example, we have the 1954 born generation of people that have Pluto conjunct Haumea, and those people, I've seen a lot of those people have this psychic phenomena happen to them, where they dream something, and then that thing comes to fruition later in life. Like a week later, the same thing happens that they dream. I began to believe this when someone that I know with Mercury aligned with Haumea in their chart repeatedly had the same kind of psychic phenomena described to me by the 1954 generation of people that was born with Pluto conjunct Haumea activating it. So this type of anecdotal proof, seeing multiple people with the same aspects having the same characteristics, is what can prove astrology. And if it didn't have this kind of proof attached to it, I wouldn't believe in it. So objectively question everything I tell you, question everything you hear, prove it to yourself. Think with refinement, precision, balance, logic. Stay grounded. Keep up the revolutionary ideological drive. Much love. Enjoy this next week. Enjoy Jupiter trine Pluto. And Google these aspects that I tell you about and research them for yourselves. Much love. Peace.